in New York State has to pay to maintain 4 nuclear power plants in Western New York, even though we don't get any benefit. The previous governor decided that he wanted them to stay online until 2030. They were losing money, so he offered to make up the difference and have the ratepayers pay for that. In order to keep them online, help lower greenhouse gas emissions. That's the reason why we keep them. The RECs are renewable energy credits. They are supplemental payments that are made to people who build wind farms and solar farms throughout New York State. There's various categories for that. So far, in the first 2 months of the year, we've had to collect from our ratepayers $672,931 for payment. Last year, the whole year, it was almost $2.7 million. It's probably going to go higher this year as we go along, and it is on a trajectory upward. The only other thing was the Power Authority was looking at a rate increase because of the cost that they had anticipated with the winter, because of the winter. They put that off and suppose they're going to start looking at it in the spring time frame. They're talking about a 50% increase to costs. I don't know what that actually entails. Well, it depends what they're looking at. If they're looking at, typically in the past, at least when I've been here the last 20 years, they've only raised the demand side. The demand side is currently $4.07 a kilowatt. That's what they've always been raising. The energy charge, usage charge, they haven't raised that in over 30, 40 years. And that's only a fraction of a cent. So I don't know what their intentions are. The reason they're looking for the increase is they've been tasked by the state to help build more solar and wind farms and more transmission lines. So they said they need additional funds from the ratepayers to cover that requirement.
What's that? They said it really comes down to ratepayers.
Well, yes. And like on the RECs, there's 2 categories that haven't hit us yet, but they're coming in the future. Tier 4 RECs, which were for wind and solar farms built down in the New York City, Westchester County, Long Island area. Up to now, people haven't wanted to build down there because of the cost of property down there. So the state has offered to offset their costs. Once they start building those sites and bring them online, they will start making payments, and all the ratepayers in the city, in the state, will be contributing to that. And then the other big one that's out there is the ORECs, the ocean renewable energy credits, for the wind farms that are being built off the Hamptons and Montauk Point. Once there's billions of dollars going to be in that. Right now, they're looking at a 60-40 share, but that's being challenged in the court. There's individuals and utilities out there want everybody in the state to pay the same amount. The power generated from the ocean will be primarily used in Long Island, New York City, Westchester County. But they said the upstate is going to get a benefit because you'll be saving the environment and you'll get cleaner air. Therefore, you should be contributing to it, even though you have no direct gain on it. That would, we're probably at least 2 or 3 years of actually seeing those come into play. And that's all I have.
Any further discussion? Okay, I'll take roll call to accept the financial report. Director Bond? Yes. Director Kelly?
Yes.
Director Gibbs, yes. Director Town? Yes. And Director Moore?
Yes.
And that is done. Item number 3, departmental reports. Progress IEEP and other.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Director. Work in progress. You pretty much read that, but I will point to 2 things on there you should be aware of. That on January 18th, we transferred 272 Cherry Avenue, which is our home, to City Power. We finally got Isaac to agree I believe it was in November, council voted on the agreement. So that has turned over. The second part of the agreement involves Lee May Drive. We have a 300 kVA transformer sitting over there, a multi-module building, multi-modal building, excuse me. We're removing that's our transformer, since now it's in the town of Plattsburgh, so it's NYSEG territory, and NYSEG to put their generator there, their transformer there instead. So, considering how valuable transformers are these days, it takes almost 3 years to get one, if you can get them. It's very valuable for us to get that transformer back. No offense, Director, I know you work over there. So that will occur sometime next week. The other thing was, when the storm Sage hit between March 14th and 16th, we were requested for a line crew by NYSEG. Went through the governor's office and so forth. And we had a crew, didn't have to go too far, which is unusual for these. They pretty much were in the Plattsburgh area, Morrisonville, Scioto Falls. And then the next 2 days, they spread it down in Essex County, repairing lines and so forth down there. So there were 2.5 days working for NYSEG. And just so you're aware, once we dispatch it through, once they go out our gate on mutual aid, all costs associated with that, the vehicle costs, the fuel, personnel costs, the benefits, become the responsibility of the gate utility, so they have to pay 100% of those charges. So I'm in the process of making that single bill. What else? IEP, pretty straightforward. The only thing I would point out, we're looking to have heat pumps installed on the main building at Sharon Avenue, removing natural gas heaters that are almost 20 years old. They're starting to fail, so we're going to replace those with heat pumps, electric heat pumps. We will be doing that probably by September. On order. We will take for September together.
Now, I don't know a lot about heat pumps, but looks like that's going to be one of those green energy sources that's going to be the way of the future. And I've read a few articles about heat pumps. Do they really hold up to really cold areas? No, they don't.
Yeah, the contractor was installing for us. He's putting a supplemental electric heat unit in ours because he says once you get down to 0 - 10, they don't have enough power to keep the area warm. He says they're great for secondary heat, but he doesn't recommend them for primary.
It's good to know.
Of course, they also didn't provide you the air conditioning then in the summertime.
So they are good for air conditioning.
Yeah.
So they're better in air conditioning.
They're a dual system.
Right, I knew that, but
So, yeah, so you use them for heating in the winter. Man, the temperature is at least 0 and above, it's not a problem, and then you can use it for air conditioning.
I knew that part, but I didn't know if it held up in the air conditioning way that way.
I haven't heard any place. I've heard it mentioned on the heating side, if it gets real cold, and probably that February, if you had one of them in your house, you'd probably be plugging in additional electric heaters to keep warm. When it was minus 20, 30 outside.
Okay.
Fortunately, this winter wasn't a problem. That's all I have.
I didn't know, I'm gonna say that I didn't know MLD did all of this. I thought this was DPW. I didn't know that the Christmas wreaths in the tree trim and in the tree room, I had no clue.
They don't have the equipment.
So that's good. So that leads me to my question. You guys do the trimming. How do you determine what needs to be trimmed and what is the city is responsible for, or you're responsible for, as opposed to the landowner?
The landlord is responsible for all the prime trees. The only trees that we care about, which are our primary effort, are trees that are in our power lines. That's the group, the two main groups, that is our primary goal, to keep the trees out of the power lines. Unfortunately, electricity and trees don't mix very well.
No,
And the secondary is the city trees, which tend to be between the curb and the sidewalk.
right,
If we don't go around looking, because I don't have the manpower to do that. We usually get complaints from homeowners and stuff. And then our guy goes out and takes a look at it. And if it really does, it's taken down on the sidewalk and stuff, we'll trim it. If the tree is dead, we'll take it out of there.
but if it's the homeowner, okay, so
Yeah, we've gotten, there's some homeowners in the past have tried to get us into when they're having fights with their neighbors. I call the Hatfields and the McCoys, because there's a tree that is not in the city right away. It's on their it's on the neighbor's property, but it overhangs on theirs. And they try to get us to cut it down or trim it, and we tell them, we can't do that legally.
no, but like, all right, I'll fess up, I have a tree in my front yard, I'm just using it as an example. And I'm pretty sure it was planted by my brother, but it's going up in the lines. You know, and so, I mean, that's our responsibility, am I correct?
If it's only into the power line, legally, you can't cut it. Because even the professional tree cutters, unless they work for a utility, they cannot legally under OSHA law cut the trees because of safety. Because you get yourself electrocuted very
Which
quickly.
is why, yeah, my husband,
When the trees are in the line, then you have to call us,
okay,
and our guys come out and look at it.
okay,
If it's in power line, we will take it out. We sometimes get calls, and it's not in the power lines, it's in the communication space. So it's cable TV, telephone. We don't deal with that.
oh, no, okay.
The other utilities, they're responsible for maintaining their own stuff. And typically, they won't do anything about it unless it causes an outage. We don't believe in that, we believe.
Preventative.
Preventive, take it out, preemptive, take it out before it causes a problem. Especially when you get, like, we had Hurricane Irene come along, a number of years ago. And we did have 13 trees come over, I think every one of them was private. Of course, it had rained so much, when the wind came, and it was still pouring rain, the entire tree, roots and all, just came over. Yeah.
Okay, so that's a good clarification for me. I know that the power lines, because my husband's an electrician, but the power lines, I'm not touching that tree.
No, that's high voltage up there.
Yeah.
You know, the professional tree cutters won't even touch it unless we fill the lines and ground them. They won't go anywhere near that stuff.
Okay, all right, good to.
Okay, so are we all set to move on to number 4, Bill?
Yes,
Okay.
Captain.
Okay, so, item number 4, bid awards, we have 4A and 4B, can I get a first and a second? Director Bond. Can I get a second, Director County? All right, discussion? It's pretty self-explanatory, is there anything you want to add to it, or anything else, or any questions?
Well, the Mohawk lift system is a portable lift system to lift up vehicles. We don't have anything in our garage right now. Our mechanic uses board jacks to get underneath vehicles. Scares the daylights out of me when he does that. But this is a system that's made to lift up medium-sized trucks, small vehicles and medium-sized trucks. And it's a much safer system. That's what that one is. The other one, the excavator, we've had problems with the backyards, into the backyards where their power lines are, especially if there's trees in there. This device will help us go in and be able to capture the tree, cut it and remove it and pull it out as one piece. It also allows us to plant holes back there. When you go into the backyards, you're having to deal with fences, pools, so you can't really get a big line truck or a bigger derrick back there. So we're looking to do this to help us on one side. Next year, we'll look at a small bucket truck, mini bucket truck to take care of that problem, especially in the winter time. These vehicles are all trained, so they can get in and do what they have to do.
Are these items budgeted?
Yes, they are, we're in my budget.
Okay. All I need to know.
Okay, can I get a roll call, Director Vaughn,
Yes.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Gibbs is yes, Director Talon?
Yes.
Director Moore?
Yes.
Adopted. Item number 5 is a series of bid requests. Can I get a first and second? Director Vaughn and Director Kelly, discussion?
Second question, are these items budgeted?
Yes, they are.
And I see you got some electric vehicles there, which is in keeping with the city's electrification policy.
I don't know that I'll show up. But the reason I got them on here now is you can't order them right now. I have to wait until the order banks open, and based on what they did last year, they only opened for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I remember that.
And yeah, that was for model year 2023, this is going to be model year 2024. But there's no guarantee, the one they ordered in 2023, I'm even gonna receive them this year, it's probably gonna be 2024. Because Ford had a lot of people that put deposits up model year 2022 Ford Lightnings. And they weren't able to build them because they didn't have the materials, so they pushed all those people into 2023. So they're gonna get first preference. And then the other problem was that the assembly line was shut down for the last 6-7 weeks. February 4th, they had an F-150 where they were prepping for delivery, and the battery pack of the vehicle ignited, torched the vehicle, and also burnt the vehicle next to it. So they had to stop production to figure out what caused the lithium-ion batteries to start the fire. They claim they found a solution, but as with lithium-ion batteries, are highly flammable, and if they're slightly compromised in any way, shape, or form, they can go through what they call thermal runaway. They will spark and ignite, and it's a very, depending how big the battery is, it's usually a very intense hot fire that can't be put out until all the fuel in the battery is used up. So we'll wait and see on those.
Yeah, I just had one comment. Electric vehicles though, like I see we got 12 and 18 years out of these. Electric vehicle, we're probably looking at 8 at best.
Well, the one down there, we have one down there, that Ford Escape is a hybrid that we bought back in 2011. We've had it 12 years. This one, great. We have a problem. My concern is the batteries, half of the back is probably getting worn out. And I only paid $26,000 for it at the time. I don't want to spend $20,000 for the battery pack. Assuming you can even buy that. Because a lot of times with these older vehicles, the dealer or the manufacturer no longer making those configuration of batteries. So,
Yeah, they decrease in efficiency.
well,
They wear out after, like
eventually,
a 6-year-old battery isn't equivalent with a new battery.
well, the problem with the EV is the battery dies, you don't go anywhere. And unless you get another battery pack for it, I would say most EVs, you probably got 10 to 12 years life expectancy for the vehicle. I don't know if it has any resale value at that point,
No,
unless somebody wants to buy a new battery pack for it, but. That, like I said, that also is
that's a
just,
trade-off. I just wanted to point that out, that it's not all sweetness and light on that. They wear out sooner.
well, the big problem too is the getting the parts, steel, wiring harnesses. The famous EV chips are very difficult to come by, that's why. I've got right now 5 vehicles in order since 2021, I might get one by the end of this year, I'm told. But again, it depends, if they get all the parts they can find, put them together, and that's the key. And the chips are the biggest part of the problem.
Any other discussion?
Will you continue to use the Ford Escape and the other vehicle you're replacing?
No, we'll probably get rid of that in the EV. I'm probably gonna be running it for at least another 2 years before we'll see. Assuming I can even buy the model year 2024. I've had people watching on the internet through July and August timeframe like last year, because they don't give me any notice You only find out on the internet that, oh yeah, they opened it up. And the dealers can't tell you what the specs of the vehicle will be or the pricing. Because the bank Ford, in this case, doesn't release that information until the day they open the order bags. And it's like last year, they closed probably 3 weeks later because they estimated how many cars they could build. It was probably higher than what they're actually gonna be built, but. I mean, that's the way it is at this time.
Okay, we'll go to roll call. Director Bond?
Yes.
Director Kelly?
Yes.
Director Gibbs is yes. Director Talon? Yes. And Director Moore?
Yes,
Done. The item number 6 is the monthly write-offs. Can I get a first and a second on that? Director Talon? Second, Director Kelly. Discussion.
Maybe for Director Bonds. As a benefit, we ought to discuss this a little bit about what these are for and why we do them.
Bill, is this pretty much in line with typical write-offs for the amount and?
This is required, we're required to do this by the Public Service Commission. Every utility is required to do this. I call it state law because the regulations are pretty much state law there that we approved by the legislature and signed off by the governor. Typically, we've always put below 1%. And these are in line. With the next meeting in June, they may be slightly higher because we're looking at winter months, people are using higher electricity. What happens here, these are individuals who use electricity and then pay their bills and have left the county and left the area, and we can't chase it. So, however, we do leave them on the books because every once in a while, usually most of them travel out to NYSEG country. They run up their electric bills there, I'll pay them there, and then they seek back in, try to seek back in the city, and that's when we usually catch them. Now, some of them we do take to court, get judgments, if they still are within the county. The judges don't make them actually pay at the time. Well, what happens is, the court system reports it to the credit bureaus. And if they try sometime in the future, buy a car or house, get a credit card, they get their credit report, there's unfavorable information at the top of that report, and the utility bill will show up. And they won't be able to get the credit until they get that removed from their credit report. And we've had people come running into our office 7, 8, 9, 10 years after the fact. They're not happy about it, but they have to pay, and on top of that, I don't know what it is right now, but it was 9% interest they had to pay.
Their responsibility.
Well, they don't see it that way, unfortunately, but then what happens is, once we put money, we notify the clerk of the courts, and they issue a letter to the credit bureaus to take them off the list.
I figured I had something.
Any other discussion? We'll go to roll call. Director Bond?
Yes.
Director Kelly?
Yes.
Director Gibbs is yes. Director Talon? Yes. And Director Moore?
yes,
That is adopted. Item 7 is a series of travel requests. Can I get a first and second? Director Kelly? Director Bond? Discussion. What is MEUA?
ADUA, Municipal Electric Utility Association. That's their association we're tied to. And then NIMBA is the New York Municipal Power Agency. It's their sister company, but she handles all the power for all the municipals that are underneath her. Now, not everybody that's in the NUA belongs to NIMBA. And I think there's like 40-ish number in NUA. There's 35 in NIMBA. So they negotiate, for example, the contract with the hydropower, the power authority, and they arrange for the supplemental power. And this represents our yearly travel. I don't think I've ever come back to the council afterwards with something to add. It's always been on here. Kelly did about for that for the last 20 years.
Yeah. Hadn't been 20 years, but
Well, you've been on and off, I mean,
feels like it's.
we've known each other from early 2000s.
She has.
Any other discussion? We'll go to roll call, Director Bond,
Yeah.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Gibbs is yes, Director Allen, yes, and Director Moore.
Yes,
And you have McFarland. I know, I know.
Oh, sorry about that.
No. Being adopted. Okay, item number 8, do we have any old business to bring before this board? None, any new business?
Well,
Oh,
yes. We recently had some Bitcoin producers, attempt to get permits to expand their businesses. and whatnot. Is there a point at which the municipal utility can say, we can't do it, we can't,
I can't deny the power.
we can't deny the power?
The only option the city has is this zoning codes. Building codes. Mayor Reed had asked that question and I had set them up with a conference call with the New York State Public Service Commission. And he was told by their legal staff down there that he could not affect anybody on electricity. In the way that was their domain and their position was, if the power is available, we have to provide it. Now, if the power is not available, then they're gonna have to pay for the construction and everything else that comes along with that, if they want to. If they don't want to, then they don't get it.
Well, just imagine this scenario in which we start to build out our 229 acre annexation with housing and perhaps a light industry. Would that not affect the Bitcoin provider's ability to?
Yes, because electricity rates will be a lot more expensive then. I mean, they're gonna go up. It's clear in New York State, we're in a race right now with California. California is the most expensive power. And New York is trying to catch up fast to that. Unfortunately, I think they'll succeed. But yeah, I mean, we only have 103 megawatts of power. Typically, in the summertime, we use about 55, 60 megawatts. In the winter, we exceeded in the normal winter. This winter was normal. Last winter was brutal and we exceeded every month. Usage, we had to buy supplemental. Now, when we buy supplemental right away, which is more expensive power, the cryptos, the 3 that we have, 3 big ones, they have to pay 100% of that supplemental power. And then whatever is left, the other 10,000 or so customers have to pay between them. So for example, if we had used 116 megawatts and the cryptos are at 10, they would pay for the 10 megawatts, and then everybody else would be paying for 3 megawatts additional supplemental. Okay. So I would say as the usage of power increases, it will probably get less profitable for them to stick around here. That they will go move on to greener pastures.
Okay.
But I think it'll be a few years to actually see that.
Did we have to vote right already this year?
Yes, I charge them right away. I can only charge them right away when we have to buy supplemental power. That only came into play this year, not only March, for the early miles, we won't see it there, was only that 37-hour period in February.
Right.
Last year, they paid a lot of money extra for it. Now, with La Nina has dissipated in the South Pacific, and now we're El Nino. I'm not sure what the winter is going to be at. We won't know that until probably about September, when the Weather Bureau gives us their forecast. Well, they got a 50% chance of being right. This year, they were fairly right.
Thank you.
Any other new business? Okay, any persons addressing the board? Seeing none. I'll take a motion to adjourn. Director Bond. Director Kelly. Roll call, Director Bond. Director Kelly.
Yes.
Gibbs is yes, Director Kelly. Yes. Director Moore.
Yes.
Get us out of here.
It's up to the zone.
Thank you.
So,